Everyone, welcome into Best Practices with UAC. One of our success sponsors, Aloha, and Jenn Denham is on this podcast. We talk about everything from how she starts her day with AI to really basics of, practices. Can people schedule online with mobile? Can they fill out forms? Everybody's interested in the blinky shiny of AI. Sometimes there's some even more basic building blocks of technology that need to be in place to make the user experience, in other words, patients coming into a practice, an easier thing. So this is a good podcast. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the UAC Best Practices Podcast. This is where you get to hear from some of the members in UAC about best practices. So what we hope for you is that you hear a little nugget, something you can actually take and implement real quick, whether it's in your business or your personal life, a best practice that you can get an immediate impact with. And I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Alan Miner.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Brian. And we have Jenn Denham today with us from Aloha. Jen's been a really breath of fresh air in the room. One, because she brings experience from some other industries with your education, both masters in marketing and education. But specifically, I've always found it interesting how you were chief growth officer in the optometry space before you came over several years ago to Aloha, Jenn. And, most people, let's just pre-frame this, are familiar with the brand Review Wave. And you guys went through that branding shift. And so as we were talking before we started the podcast, in best practices, this is really interesting to me because you guys are on the knife's edge of introducing AI into the profession. I think because you have APIs into so many different softwares, you maybe have a leg up on a lot of the competitors and that you're not just isolated to one software company, you can get into many others. But what I really found interesting was, as you were talking about timeout, everybody's so interested in the blinky shiny of AI. Most practices you speak with don't even have the basic ability to say schedule online. So let's kind of, from your lens, interacting with practices every day and representing this suite of different solutions to kind of help integrate practices to modernize them. Where's your brain going? Best practices for chiropractors in today's world?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And thanks for having me on. It's been exciting to meet everyone in the UAC group and be a part of it. There's some rock star doctors that are in this group. It's been really great to get to know them. I think from where we stand at Aloha right now, obviously we have our AI solutions that are out there. I'm a big fan. Our CEO is, a massive fan and has always stayed ahead of the curve of technology and where it's going. So don't get me wrong, AI is going to massively impact a lot of practices in the way they run their operations, in the way they serve their patients and their community. But I think when we're talking about right now today, what can I do in Q4 to make huge impact in my practice in 2026? I think it's also looking at the foundation of our practice and the technology that we're using today. And where are those points of friction for not only our patients, but for our staff, right? If we're talking about we're going to scale, we want to see X amount of more patients, there's the thought of, great, let's do it. What also, from a workload perspective, is going to scale that isn't feasible for the numbers we want to hit, right? So that's where in a lot of the workshops where we're sitting down with practices and, we're doing these interactive panels and workshops, we want you to take off your doctor hat and your CA hat and put on your patient hat and go through what it's like to be a new patient for your practice. What does that look like, right? Because it starts with our patient experience first, which then doubles down on what your staff is going to have to do. And if I can't easily go on my phone, right, to your website, understand if you can help me, see that you have amazing social proof, right, with those reviews, and book an appointment, fill out my intake forms on my mobile device, get a text message confirmation, maybe even some great information about what to expect before I'm even standing in front of you, then that isn't a modern patient experience, right? Yeah. And what happens is probably your staff is then dealing with phone conversations back and forth trying to schedule. They didn't fill out their forms. Oh, they showed up late. They didn't know we don't have a parking lot. And that all just doubles down to the inability to scale the way we want to, right? So believe me, I'm a huge fan of AI. My coffee with Claude is on my calendar every single morning. I talk to that person as much as I talk to that
What
AI as
about?
much as
What do
I
you
do my
ask?
family.
What do you ask?
Oh, that's confidential, Dr. Minor. No, I'm just kidding. But
It is. I ask it some crazy stuff.
yeah, I mean, I help it optimize my day, right? I mean, working for a
Wow.
company that's been on the Inc. 5000 list for as many years as we have, we move fast as a company. And if I can't see bottlenecks of things that are in my day to day, that snowballs into my quarter, right? For what I need to hit as an executive at a company that I work for. So
One,
the big
let's
thing I've been asking Claude that is a little hack is when I am brain dead and my coffee hasn't kicked in yet, and it knows my schedule and it knows the projects that I'm working on, I ask it to ask me questions and help me define what a successful outcome for these projects will be. And it is shocking the clarifying questions that Claude will ask me
That's a
that
good
will
one.
that will steer the productivity in a different way for that
So
day.
let's even go more basic so we don't fly. Claude. Most people know Chat GPT. I know Gronk. Everybody's kind of got their own things. What's Claude? What's it pulling from? What's it integrating? Is it working? It's working out of Google. Is that right?
Yep, yep. So it can access a lot of the projects that I'm working on, my calendar, my schedule. I have reoccurring projects that I've saved. So when I go back in, I just pick up the conversation. I like the interface a little bit better on my phone and my desktop and the way that it integrates with just our G Suite. So yeah, it's literally on my calendar as a reoccurring. I'm a type A, live by my calendar kind of gal, and I have coffee with Claude almost every morning.
I love that.
If I haven't gotten my
Walking with
full
Claude.
workout in yet, yeah, if I haven't got my full workout yet, I will walk and talk with Claude. So the voice to not have to type is amazing too. And I'll use it for a lot of different things, right? From things with my kids to family to travel. But for the purposes of this recording, I use it mostly for work productivity since
That
it's
I mean, it's funny. I every now and then talk to Chat GPT, but I'm always asking questions like, "Tell me about the market today. What's going on?" Like, I don't watch the news, so sometimes I'll get some "What's going on." Never thought about integrating it into all my schedules and calendars and everything. So that
Oh
alone
man, that's
might be
amazing.
the
Actually,
best practice.
I bet you it would be real funny if because I've done it to myself, just see the thread of the things I've asked it. Like I've asked it a very deep political question, and then literally the next question is, "What's smarter, a horse or a dog?" Like it's like what? How did I go from that to that? Anyway, we're getting
Uh,
off a little bit off topic here,
so,
but
so I have a question, and
my mind. Oh
as
my
you
god.
guys
I love it.
evolve, so let's talk about Google just briefly because you guys. I guess my question is, you guys? First was introduced to you all as Get Google Reviews. And I think that's still part of your business, but I'm curious, is that almost like a lead magnet, loss leader kind of part of your business and introductory? Or do people still come to you regarding the Google reviews? Like, how much do you guys focus on that as a practice? And maybe is there any best practice in that genre that you can give us some insight on right now?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, our CEO, came from a huge chiropractic family and became the black sheep by starting a tech company and not becoming a chiropractor. But our goal has always been to help practices scale and grow and just serve their patients better, right? And technology and AI are huge levers of growth and strategy to be able to remove those manual processes. And I think when it started with reviews, you even have to think back to before technology, before websites. I mean, when we were talking about my history, I started in social media management. I worked for a big vehicle card donation program for public radio, believe it or not. And
Ours for
I
kids.
came off with my degrees. Do you remember that? Where you could donate your vehicle to whatever
Donate your
public
car
radio
today.
or nonprofit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to our head of marketing and I was like, I think I could help with social media, right? I think I could help them teach how to use social media. And they were like, no, social media is just for the kids. No legitimate business will ever have social media accounts. And here we are, right? So I
Yeah.
think when we think about best practices for businesses, those tried and true strategies of how to grow a business are still there, right? It started with when you're in a local community, you get involved in your community and you have referrals, and those used to be before Google reviews, here, hand them this card. Here's my card that I referred you. And now as we grow with technology, now that's automated, right? With an easy text message to gain that review. But what's the goal? It's social proof, right? You're a business in a local community. And that will grow as, you have to learn strategies of how Claude and ChatGPT will recommend your practice in the local community, right? So all of those business strategies are still relatively the same concept. It's just how are you implementing that to make it easier for your business and for your patients and your staff to be able to scale with those strategies. So yes, we started with reviews. That was the biggest lever that Matt identified of why certain practices grow faster than others. And then as we continue to grow, because he was never just going to stay with one thing, we realized online scheduling and then intake forms that were mobile friendly. And now after hours attendance and never letting a call go to voicemail for nights and weekends, right? And so we'll continue to look at that patient experience and that staff experience and identify those bottlenecks that make it so a practice can't consistently exponentially grow without those tasks exponentially growing, right? We need to allow those things. Yeah, Dr. Miner.
Jenna, I'm just curious. Do you have any data points so far on? I know I have to presume answering a phone when it used to go to voicemail has to have a. Do you have any data points on any of your practices of like we've seen this much more new business because the phone was answered these hours we normally didn't? Anything like that you can share?
I'd also like to, if you could color that a little bit with how things have progressed these days, if you can, if you have it. Like, I know people's attention span is much shorter. They have a lot more access to a lot more information a lot faster, right? So, you talk to Claude in the morning, who's the chiropractor I should call today, and you don't get an answer, and you're like, who's next? And 5 seconds later, you got another phone number. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, and literally standing on a stage, I kid you not, in Florida last week, we did some background discovery. And again, this was for a different type of practice, but same thing rings true in chiropractic. We called a number of practices and we asked ourselves, how long is it going to take us before we can get on the books, right? How many calls is it going to take? And on average, calling 20 practices, it took 11 calls to that practice to be able to get an appointment scheduled. Wow. The common denominators were we were put on hold for more than 2 minutes. The phone went to voicemail. We were not going to leave a voicemail and wait for a call back. Most people don't, right?
Right.
The appointment wasn't available. In this instance, we also have to look to see if our insurance and they could find our insurance for availability purposes. But I think what every experience we had was that it wasn't seamless and it wasn't convenient. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. I am most likely scheduling a lot of those appointments on my phone at night. If I have to call and leave a voicemail and you're going to call me back, I'm not going to lie. I have the setting on my phone that if I don't have your number saved, it goes straight to voicemail. Like there's too much spam and too many things happening on my calendar for me to answer all these calls that I don't know. So I think when we look at what happens nights and weekends, I would tell practices and ask their staff, go to your voicemail and look at the number of patients that have called and then drill into how many of those are new patients and then see how many you actually get scheduled after that voicemail was left. It's going to be a very small percentage. They've moved on, right? We have too much access to your point, Dr. Brian, we have too much access to be able to get things done on our phone that if we aren't in that game, if we aren't allowing our patients to go to our website, book an appointment, get a confirmation, here's your mobile intake form, they're moving on. I'm a super optimistic person. And, I always want to bring excitement and opportunity to when we're talking about these things. But it's not a wow factor to have these things I'm talking about anymore. It's an expectation because if you look at the way you book a flight, a dinner reservation, anything in your life, I mean, what are the chances you're going to call and leave a voicemail and then wait for someone to call you back? You're just not. So in the world of serving our patients the best we can, I think that's where we really have to focus on what are we even portraying out there as a practice, right? And those voicemails are just pretty brutal. So I will loop back to you. I will get with Scotty at Cooper's Chiropractic, who's had Charlie in their practice for a while, and get you some data points on answering those calls. We just want to avoid, those new patients who have found you, whether it's your Google reviews or referral, and then have to call 5 or 6 times to be
Yep.
able to get through and
No,
schedule
it's-
that appointment.
If I have a voicemail, imagine if it were me. If I came to the office and I had 3 voicemails, I would assume I had 6 that didn't leave a voicemail and just want to, pull my own hair out and think about what that meant to those people and to the practice as a business, right? We got to get on it.
So, Jenn, last question before we wrap. Thank you for coming on. I'm just curious, any big high-level takeaways from you having been in UAC the past year that you can leave our listeners with? What, as one of our success partners, I'm curious your perspective on that question.
Yeah, around the group specifically. I
Yeah.
mean, I love the new magazine. That's one for sure. And as I flip through and I look at all the doctors that are here in this top 20, right? The big picture of all of them, I'm seeing a lot of Aloha users, right? Like Dr. Danny Knowles and so many people on here. So I think that my experience in UIC, and I said this at the New York event, is that our missions are very aligned from what we're doing at Aloha and what the doctors in the UAC group are looking to do. And that's to improve their patient experiences and their patient outcomes and empower their team. I think one of the things that UAC has done so well with the staff component of it is that as we look at AI to elevate our business and obviously the revenue, we also want to empower our team members, right? And that's one thing that we do it a lot at Aloha. We look and we say, hey, we're building an AI voice agent to answer phones nights and weekends from the ground up to help empower our practices. We're also internally empowering all of our employees to leverage AI and Claude and get better, right? And so we have this opportunity to have bigger impact for our staff and practices and our employees as well. So we really practice what we preach. And I think that's a huge thing that the doctors in UAC do. It's exciting to see a lot of our current customers there raising their hand and say, yeah, let's get Charlie in the practice. Let's avoid those, calls going to voicemail. Let's look at bringing in those mobile friendly intake forms. Let's really level up, our patient experience in 2026. So I love that we have doctors focused on scaling, growth, automation, AI, not scared to have the difficult conversations, right, of what's holding them back and how they can remove those roadblocks. So again, if I'm giving anything away here that could be a nugget, I would say if you have a team meeting coming up, sit down and put on your patient hat and book an appointment. Go through the whole process. Pretend like you do not even know how to get to that practice. And are they set up for success as a new patient? So when they get in front of you and they're sitting in front of you and everything that you've learned is like right there and they're ready to accept it because they've already had just a great experience with your business.
Awesome, Jenn. We sure appreciate you. Thank you to
Thanks so
you.
much,
Thank you
Jenn.
to Aloha. And I feel you bring green energy to the room. We're blessed to have you there. Thanks, Jenn.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks
Jenn.
so much, Dr.
See
Myers.
you
Thanks,
soon.
Dr. Brian.
Have a good one,
Okay.
guys.